Good evening, my friend, and good to see you once again. The program now is Let's Talk About It with King Emmanuel on the Incubator Media Radio, and you can find us on www.theincubatormedia.com. It is time to discuss now. What do you have in mind? What are things that bothers your mind? What are the things that you feel is not going the way you want, or things you see you can do better, but it seems the energy or willingness is not there? Let's discuss about them. You can write to us, you can reach out to us as we bring our programs onto you at this particular time. And for today, we'll be discussing about anger. Anger. Why people behave the way they behave. Why do you get angry? And some people said, I deserve to be angry. Others said, no, you don't have to. And the confusion is on. We are not taking side. But let's sit down and look at what anger is. What causes anger? What are the factors that lead to anger? Then the effect of anger, both on you and the recipient. And then, if we look at it and we see the results are bad, what can you do to get out of anger? What can you do? Someone said, I've tried over time not to be angry, but I still find myself there. There is a way out on what you can do. Today we will share in this series. Follow up with us. I'll be discussing with my friend Adeola Adeniro on this subject of anger. Thank you very much. Someone said if you change the last word from R to L, it becomes angel. So it's either angel or anger. And today I have a special friend that will be sharing this section together, and will be telling us a whole lot of work and research that he has done, and has been able to help a lot of people on how to handle this subject. It's by name Mr. Adeola Adeniro. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
All right, sir. Talking about anger as a thing, and we've known over time that anger has not given birth to any good report or any good product over time. It has destroyed relationship, it has destroyed community, it has destroyed businesses, and everything about life. Anger has not really bring out the best, and that's why at this time we want to look at it properly. So sir, we'll start. If you said the word anger, what can you tell us?
Thank you. Anger is a strong feeling. I'm giving you dictionary meaning now. Of displeasure, hostility, or antagonism towards someone or something, and is usually combined with, not in all cases, in some cases, the urge of wanting to revenge based on what has been done. But that's what the dictionary tells us. But when you look at anger as a whole, it occurs in three stages. It can be psychological, it can be physical, and at the same time spiritual. So and just like we have every other form of feelings that God has put into us, feelings to be happy, feelings to be sad, feelings to be excited. Anger is also a feeling. It's like a reaction towards something that happens and all that. And as we go along, we'll be able to talk more about what brings about some of these feelings.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ade. And looking at it, anger occurs in a very ranges of degrees of intensity. It could be mild annoyance to violent range. It could be hidden or it could be expressed. It could also be of short duration or persistent for decades in form of bitterness, recalcitrant, or hatred.
Absolutely.
Now, I want us to look at it this way. For example, as a youth growing up, how can youth protect themselves from anger? Because we know we are bound to react to what has happened around us, and it's either we are proactive or we are reactive in any case. But for the youth, with the attendant confrontation they face daily, what would you advise a youth to do at the face of anger?
The point is this: one has to understand, before you get to a solution, you have to look at the cause. And there is what is called, and under the cause, there is what is called the underlying cause, and there is what is called the root cause. So before we get to the solution of what a youth can do to undo anger, I think it will be best if we look at some of the things that get youth angry, or that gets people angry. But because we are dealing with youth now, that gets youth angry, and at the same time we look at some of the ways that they express their anger. Now, if you look at the definition you gave, you said that it could be hidden or expressed. You said it may be a short duration or persistent for decades. Now, under that, you will discover that people manifest anger in three ways, three cardinal ways. There is what is called the expression or the passive. There is what is called the expression or the active. There is what is called the repression or the passive. And then there is what is called the release. Now, those who study body language, that is kinetics, that's the study of body language, they tell us this, that when you look at human body or the way people express themselves generally, you have the word, you have the tone of voice, and then you have the verbal expression. Now, the word, that's what the person says, is just about 7%. Are you following? It's just about 7%. The tone of voice is 38%. And then the verbal expression is 55%. Wow. Now, for example, I may say, that's why sometimes when someone is speaking, and then the person says, or you're telling the person, oh, you're hungry, and the person says, no, I'm not. I'm not offended. Yeah. But the way you speak, your pitch is high, the tone of your voice is high. I say, no, I'm not. And then they try to come up with all sorts of names to justify it. No, I'm not angry. I'm just pissed. I'm just, all sort of names just to no. I just want to be alone by this time. Do you understand me? So now, under that, express, like I said, express, repress, and then the release. The one that is mostly seen is expression, and that is the one that is so obvious for everyone to see. For example, the frown on the face. Young people, the slamming of the door. You understand? They slam the door, they frown their face, they yell, the yelling, and those kind of things, they are expression. And most of the time, that is usually the way a lot of people manifest or show that they are angry. And after some time, they are out of it. But the most dangerous form is the repression. What makes it dangerous and extremely dangerous is they call it the silent war. No, I'm not angry. No, everything is
just
okay.
fine.
I'm fine. I'm cool. I'm all right. Everything is fine. But in the heart of heart, the individual is planning revenge. You understand? And because I'm a Christian, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the Bible. I'm bringing the case of Absalom and Amnon in the Bible. Two sons of David. Amnon did something bad to Absalom's sister, which is Tamar. Absalom got to know about this, and he did not say a word to Amnon. He was just living his life as if nothing happened. And Bible say that he kept this thing in his heart for 2 years. That's a repressed anger. Very dangerous, very deadly. He kept it in his heart for 2 years, and until the moment was right, then he struck and he killed Amnon. Straight up. He killed him hands down. So we have that a lot, especially youth who are the tendency, whose temperament mostly are melancholies, choleric. They have this tendency of harboring things in their mind for a longer period of time. Sanguine, yeah, they get angry, blah, 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 but their own is scatter once and for all, and then normal service resume. But the moment that they are scattering, they can cause irreparable damage. But these other ones, they just keep it, they smile at you, they tell you, don't worry, this and that and that and that. But they don't find it very hard to forgive, and they are planning revenge. Now the other one is the grace inspired anger, which is release anger. Why do you release it? Somebody did something wrong to you. That thing was kind of like painful, but after a while you just look at it. Okay, you know what? It's not worth it. Let me just go on and live my life. My life is more golden than to be carried about with all these things that people did and that, and then be able to go.
Well, thank you very much for. Is there a lot of expression? We see that anger can be, expressed in 3 ways: by repression, people that will not talk and keep things; by expression, people that will say the way it is immediately and go on; then the one that will release it, said eventually I can't let it go, I'm fine, let's see how it's going to be. I still want us to dwell a bit more on that word anger. We said it can occur as a result of psychological, it could be physical, and it can be as a result of spiritual problem. I want us to a bit dive into this so that they will be able to understand better, since we've been able to say that it can be in form of repression, expression, and release. But now anger can still occur in these 3 ways: psychological, physical, and spiritual. So I want us again to look at it. If it's going to come up in this way, what are the things we need to know? Because it's in knowing that we can give our best reaction at the time of anger.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, from what you said, we understand. When I say spiritual, I said that emotions, feelings, God gave them to us. God puts feeling in us. It's part of us. There are 3 things that make up a man. There is the will, there is the mind, and then there is the emotion. Maybe as we go on in the course of discussion, I'll be able to explain those 3 and how they they interrelated one with another. Now, if you look at the Bible, and Bible refer to anger as sin, but at the same time, is a feeling that God Himself has put in us. So, and sometimes you read through your Bible and then you say God was angry.
Yes.
And then there is also this passage of the Bible that say we should be angry and sin not.
Yes.
So there are a lot of things that makes people want to okay, is it really okay? Fine. They try to justify this and that. So until you're able to get a balance as to when it becomes a spiritual problem. By spiritual, I'm not talking about this deliverance, whatever that goes on everywhere, but you understand the point where the anger is a sin, and then you understand where the anger is that passage of the Bible permitted and under the context at which it is permitted. So that's why I say that anger can be a spiritual. Now, psychological. A child has been bruised, damaged, insulted, assaulted by people, by parents, by friends, and they have caused this child psychological damage, trauma. And probably, okay, for example, take the case of a child who has been molested from the age of 8 by an uncle. Now, and the child is growing up, and is now a teenager, say 15, 16. Every time the child sees the uncle, what do you think naturally goes through the mind of the child? This bad fellow
He's angry.
The child is angry. So psychologically, a damage has been done. Because probably now the child now grew up and now began to understand and say, okay, I'll probably get to attend a function or a program or whatever, and then they were talking to them about a lady keeping her virginity. And this child now understood that, oh no, I don't have this anymore because an uncle did this. That on its own brings about another form of rage. Oh, this uncle, I wish if I see him, let me just strangle him. I know a case of a girl who was abused and all that, and the child said that when the person who abused him was getting married, she was there because she had to be there, being a family member.
Wow.
But in her heart of heart, she was wishing that that person would just drop dead on the pulpit and die.
That's
Why they were
bride?
no, not the
groom.
the groom. Why they were doing their church
The man that defied her.
the man that defied that. She was just wishing that this person would just fall down there and die. You understand? So she couldn't. Is a repressed anger. She couldn't say it out to people. She kept it in her heart for years, because according to her, who will believe her story? Who will believe her story? But she had it all in her. Then look at the psychological. I mean the physical. For the physical aspect of it, that is the tendency to want to arm, slap, exchange blow, anything that is like gun, pistol, sword, or arrange people to beat him up, or things like that. Or it is something that has been done to the child also, to that young person, that every time you do something wrong, you slap. For every offense, for everything that the child lives in an hostile environment, and then the child has grown up to live that kind of life that, hey, you don't take nonsense from anybody. The only way you can assert your authority is for you to dish them slap, use physical assault or force, like that. And that thing has become the part and parcel of a youth like that.
Thank you very much. Really, really exhaustive, and honestly, it becomes, in the actual sense, anger could be a form of reaction, or the way we can react at a point, like we said, is in us. Is what God has put in there in us. But the essence of our discussion today is, we are not judging you, we are not condemning you, but we are saying that to everything there are better ways to handle situation. And that's why we've been talking about anger in the last few minutes. Talk about definition of it, talk about the manifestation of anger, and we've talked about different ways by which anger is being expressed. And now we move a bit further and talk about this anger, we'll say, because I'm sure God has not put in anything that will destroy us in us. Absolutely. We have control over everything that happens around us. So now we want to look at what are the causes of anger, because when we know the causes of anger, we'll now be able to marshal out our plan to see how we don't destroy ourselves or destroy others. Because of this anger, some are in prison today, because one thing leads to the other, and before you know it, somebody is done. And in court of law, there is no room for ignorance. It has happened. A whole lot of people too find themselves in a situation they didn't pray for or wish for because of anger. So, sir, now let's dig it further and look at the causes of anger, at their causes, if there are. Let's look at them.
Of course, there are various causes. If we are to be looking at the causes, depending on what you read or things that you know, but basically I think there are about 4 or 5 causes of anger, but that is not the limit to the list. Frustration is a big cause of anger. Frustration. When people are, sometimes you set a target for yourself and you don't meet up your target, it can even make people to be angry. You'll be amazed as to, okay, what got on your, they say, no, I'm not angry. It just got on my nerves. What got on your nerves? Frustration. People want to get things done. The things that they want to get done did not come to them as at the time that they want it done. They are frustrated. And when they are frustrated, everyone around them must feel the wrath. I'm a Chelsea supporter. I'm not saying me, I'm making an example of a young person. Man U defeat Chelsea. I'm angry. Yeah. Anyone that comes around me at that time will feel my wrath. And you want to make matter worse, if you just say up Chelsea at that time, you are in soup. Frustration. So the little things like that makes young people to be angry. Another reason is injustice. When people feel that they are being served injustice, they are not being served justice, or sometimes it may not be to them, It may be to someone.
Close one.
You see some people that say, what I hate most in my life is cheating. If I see cheating anywhere, I can do anything for that. So that injustice may not directly be to them. It may be to a friend, a family member, a classmate, or things like that. Then there is anger being manifested. Another thing is when people feel that they are hurt, or there is a kind of threat for them to be hurt. Maybe somebody hurt them. We are looking at because somebody hurt them, somebody did something that hurt them. Remind me as we go on to talk about the other time when I was talking about the study of body language. Let me quickly add this. There is what is called under that there is what is called territorial space. Okay. Under the study of body language, there is the concept called territorial space. And what this means is this: I set a space. Once you cross that space, you feel my wrath. And it happens a lot with young people. This is my room. You don't just go in and, I'm now a teenager, I'm now 15, I'm now 14, even I'm now 13. I have a room to myself. Mom, once you want to get anything from my room, you just have to seek my consent first. If you get in there, you are invading my privacy. You are invading my space. And because of that, I'm angry. Even to your sisters. Even to brothers. So, when you have that territorial space, that's another form that causes people to like that the invasion of their territorial space.
Or privacy.
Or their privacy that they set for themselves. No one set it for them. They set the territorial space for themselves. Now back to hurt. Like somebody hurt them, or they feel that there is a tendency for something, or there is a threat to hurt, then definitely they want to be angry at that thing that had happened. And then we also look at another thing. I've talked about injustice. Then I'm looking at fear. Fear is also kind of like related to, is in line kind of with frustration. Do you know sometimes when like young people, you want to belong to an association, growing up, you want to form a particular, you say, I like this group of people, I want to mix with them, and all of a sudden they don't want to associate with you, and then you stay back, and then you now see some other people, okay, I want to also move with this group, but the initial experience you had in the past, that fear of rejection makes you to like, what if I go to them now and they say they don't want to have anything to do with me? Okay, you stay back. Then all of a sudden you now begin to feel that no one loves me, no one wants to associate them, and the more you keep brooding on this, number one, it lower the person, that child's self-esteem, and at the same time a kind of feeling of revenge begins to build up in the child.
Because of rejection.
Recently I heard the news of a particular school in the US where they went to do a reunion 30 years after. That's a particular set. They had a reunion 30 years after, and then at the reunion exercise and all that, there was a guy there who went and met another person and said, "Do you remember me?" He said, "No, I don't." "Oh, I am this. You used to call me this name then in school. You are the one that made people to make me a laughing stock back then in school and things and that and that and that. That was, oh, sorry, I'm sorry, and all that. Say, that thing you did caused me so much pain and this and that, blah 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 blah. You know what? It gunned the guy down.
Oh my!
That was
after 30 years.
That was the end of the reunion. That was the end of that reunion. So it gunned the guy down instantly. You understand? So you see, sometimes when people have that, like they worry and fear about, what if they don't accept me? And the moment they don't see themselves being accepted, or they be like they are being left out, things begin to build up in them. The more they are thinking about it, the more that, okay, so you are the one that feel I'm not good enough. You are the one that feel that I'm not it lowers their self-esteem, but at the same time they begin to this. Then that's another cause. And then again, anger too can be learned, which is funny. Wow. It can be learned. You know, in this part of the world where we are, Lagos, Nigeria, there are certain areas where they will tell you that if you even decide to act in a cool and gentle way, they will say, no, you are not from this area. Yes. You understand? They say, we will be people from this side. We know they take nonsense. We know they I don't want to go there. We know they take this. And then as the young person is seeing other people, maybe the parents do that and that, manifest this, show this. I know of someone who told me that the father called him and sat him down and said, look, if you want to get married, no, they give him a chance. They hear me so?
You know what?
No, they give him a chance. Wow. Did they hear me so? For our area, we know they give them a chance. If you give them chance, they will control you. So you got to show that you are a man. And part of the way that you can show that you are a man is, hey, sometimes if they misbehave, just give them one slap, then go. Their brain will reset. So he had that over and over and over. And what you hear from time to time, to a large extent, becomes you. Yeah. So he grew up with that, and I said, God, you take this into your marriage, this is a disaster already. So your brain needs to be formatted and this. So anger sometimes can be learned. You see the father, just like you see children nowadays, every little things they pick. Oh, where did you get that from? Oh, mom and dad used to do it. Oh, this and this used to do that. The same way anger also can be. Because these are some of the causes. Like I said, the list is not limited to this, but these are some of the causes.
This is interesting. It's becoming more interesting. I pick up two words here when we talk of a study of kinetics, and the word that kept coming was territorial space, invading of privacy. Because I've heard that a lot. And we know that if these situations are not well handled, anger is just very close by. So I will need you to shed more light. Territorial space, invading of privacy. I've heard that word over time, and the result is always an angry disposition.
Absolutely.
So please, I needed you to add more on this, because people learn, sometimes, like you said, anger can be learned. Some could be watching movie, and all they do is just to seek it in, and without checking what you are putting into yourself. And like we know that it's what you believe that you become eventually. So I would need more space on this. So possibly someone is listening and could learn on how to handle these two words: territorial space, invading of my privacy, so to say.
Okay. I'll say something a little bit controversial, and I will. Okay, not now. Maybe later. Why do we get angry? Most times, apart from all these other causes, it is the rule that we create. In our head, in our mind, we form this to be, this is how I want my thing. This is how we call it, in some cases, we call it principles. Don't get me wrong, I have a lot of principles, and I'm not saying that people shouldn't have principles. Of course, you need principle to move on. A principleless person, if there's any word like that, is not going anywhere. If you can't stand for something, you fall for everything. But it's because we set the rules. And when somebody do something, we check up. Just like a comic I saw when I was young of a family, of a father that put up some rules and then he put up the punishment. Yeah. So if anybody does anything in the house, he was, oh, you have broken, you go and consult the book, oh, rule 22. What's the punishment? The punishment is 6-stroke cocaine. That's exactly the same thing. Now, can I tell you something?
Go ahead, please.
What somebody will do that will get you angry, that will get you irritated, mad. Do you know that someone else, that same thing can be done to them and they will just laugh over it? Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Some people just say a word, they can bring down a building, and that same word, say it to someone else, he just laugh over it. What's the difference? Each person makes that word the big rule. The big rule. Space, territorial space. No one set the space. You set the space. You put down the laws that says. You know, I remember I heard about a couple who divorced because of toothpaste. Toothpaste. Yeah. The man is a melancholy, the woman is a sanguine. The man loved the paste to be pressed from the base. The woman, let me press the paste anywhere. Make toothpaste shall come out.
Yes.
You understand? And the man will keep complaining, excuse me, what is wrong with you? Can't you do things in orderly manner? And the woman will be like, excuse me, why are you so paranoid? What's the big deal? Oh, you are incorrigible. Oh, you are not this. And because of that, I don't think it's marriage no more. Excuse me.
Just like that?
Just like that. Excuse me, what stopped them from buying another paste? Okay, you'll be pressing your own from anywhere. Me, I'll be pressing my own from this. You understand? But because of the space that has been created, if a good friend of mine was telling me, and some of these people, they end up becoming OCD. Sorry, I've forgotten the but it's something psychological disorder. They don't know. But the thing is, like that one was telling me that if anyone comes into our house, yeah, and use any of our things, she'll be like, you have to put them back the way I put them. You don't do that, I may not allow you to come into my house again. Do you understand? Be like, get so mad. So you have to open, and I'm like, excuse me, this is going to the extreme. Initially, it was a good principle that sets you in order, that makes you plan. But hey, now it's going to the extreme, to the point that she's now seeing herself as not being too accommodating.
Because of the principle.
Because of the territorial space. So they said the space. It's like, no, even if I'm going to people's house, maybe I'm going to a friend's house, it's in another place or something, I go with my pillowcase because I don't want to absorb all the sweat on their pillowcase. Do you understand?
We've come to the end of the section today. I hope you've been able to see one or two things you need to improve. Possibly you pick up things that you need to change from, part of your attitude that you need to improve. Anger will not give birth to a good living, give birth to a life that you desire. Why don't you stand up today and say no to anger? Until I come your way next time on this same radio station. I am King Emmanuel, and I'm saying goodbye. If you have questions, we can be reached on all our social media at the Incubator Media. And you can listen again to this episode by clicking on the www.theincubatormedia.com. You will see it there. And you need someone to talk to, or you need a counseling. Our phone numbers are there: 08092374502. And you can equally get across to us too. You can get me on Facebook, on Twitter, on LinkedIn at the King Emmanuel Folarin Show. I will be happy to be of help to you. Till we see next time. Goodbye. God bless you.